Welcome to the National Press Club. Hey! Can I get some love in the house? That did not sound like a welcome to the National Press Club. Yeah! Yeah! I'm Lisa Nicole Matthews, but you're like, I already knew that. I'm the assignment manager for U.S. Video at the Associated Press and immediate past president of this fantastic institution, the National Press Club, the place where news happens. I am honored to be your host for this evening as we pay tribute to Jen Judson, your 115th president of the National Press Club. Now, as you may know, this event is traditionally held each January. Now, it's raining outside. Imagine if all of that rain was snow, okay? So it's traditionally held in January as the newly elected president takes office, but because of COVID and the Omicron spread earlier this year, Jen decided it was in everyone's best interest to push the event back a few months so that we could celebrate in the safest way possible. This is an example of Jen's leadership. She has continued to make safety a priority for members of the club, our staff, and the thousands of guests that come through these doors each week, and we appreciate that. That said, yeah, absolutely. Give her some love on that. Absolutely. I know many of you have been looking forward to this evening for a few years now. I was virtual during mine, so and then we had, COVID. So, hey, I really hope you enjoy your drink of choice, connect with old friends, celebrate with colleagues, and have fun tonight. First, I'd like to acknowledge the sponsors of tonight's event who showed up in a big way this year. Our colonel-level sponsors, Bloomberg, Defense News, L3 Harris, and General Dynamics. Let's give them some love. Our major level sponsors, Bell Flight, Defense One, Duplain Global Enterprises, and the Women's Business Collaborative. Let's give them some love. Yeah. And finally, our captain level sponsors, GM Defense and Lockheed Martin. Yeah. A big, big thank you to each of these organizations for supporting the National Press Club, for supporting Jen, and of course for supporting responsible journalism. Now, you may not know this, but the club is governed by a very special group of volunteers who give their time and expertise, so let's acknowledge this great group, the 2022 National Press Club Board of Governors. If you are a governor, please stand and be acknowledged. Yeah. Thank you, governors, for all of your hard work and the time you give to the club. It is greatly appreciated and makes all the difference. Now, let's introduce the past presidents of the National Press Club who are in the house tonight. Please stand when you hear your name. Oldie but goodie, Gil Klein, 1994. Doug Harbrecht, 1998. Yeah. Rick Dunham, 2005. Yeah. Jonathan Salant, 2006. Yeah. Mark Hamrick, 2011. Yeah. John Hughes, 2015. Jeff Ballou, 2017. Allison Kojak, 2019, and I think she's not here, but let's give her a round anyway. Yeah. Mike Friedman, 2020. Yeah. and yours truly, 2021. We also want to thank the staff who worked so hard, and I'm telling you, so hard to put this event together tonight. Thank you to our AV team in the back. Yeah. Our banquet staff, our fantastic culinary staff. Did you guys get some appetizers? Come on now, that's some good stuff, right? Led by executive chef Susan Delbert, who cooked up a Coloradan cuisine for us tonight, so get ready for that. And of course, their fearless leader, great man that he is, Club Executive Director Bill McCarron. None of this would be possible without them, and we appreciate each of them so much. And she didn't put her name in the teleprompter, but I'm just going to give a shout out to Kate Helster. She is our Director of Membership, okay? We would not have the members that we have and the great things that are going on tonight without Kate. So thank you, Kate. We appreciate you. Yeah, and now, for what you've all been waiting for. And I'm not talking about George. I want to share with you what I know about your 115th president.
Meet George Judson.
No, Jen Judson. Jen Judson. Yes. Meet Jen Judson. First, Jen is a great friend and colleague, okay? Jen was my vice president, and we served through a challenging COVID year together as we strategized on how to operate safely during COVID while keeping this club that we love so much open and thriving. I must say, and this is really from my heart, it's not from the teleprompter, okay? I could not have found or asked for a better partner. Jen is always willing to roll up her sleeves and take the tough meetings, write the crucial memos, and do the work. She is a wonderful writer, something she must have picked up at Kenyon, which is known for writing, and later at Boston University, where she received her master's in journalism. Like most of us, Jen started with smaller newspapers and worked her way up quickly. Before you knew it, she was at Politico and then Defense News, where she is the land warfare reporter. Do you understand? Yes. I mean, my goodness, if you want a badass title, that has got to be it. Land warfare reporter, okay? So, I don't know if it's on the screen yet, but most of us get sworn in on a book or a piece of art, but Jen's being sworn in tonight on a javelin. Yeah. So she's gonna be forever known as Jen Javelin Judson. Yeah. No, seriously though, she's being sworn in on a helmet. Yeah, on a helmet. I mean, that's pretty bad too, right? It's pretty bad. Wait, give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Show you how bad it is. I don't know if I'm gonna put this on right or it's pretty bad. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Anyway, so that's pretty bad. I'm not sure that they have these at Kenyon, but they have them here at the National Press Club now because this is the first time we've had a defense writer leading the National Press Club. So now, Jen is our first millennial president. So, yeah. So you know her social media game is tight. It's tight. I'm pretty sure she has more Twitter followers than the entire National Press Club. Maybe all the National Press Club past presidents put together. Yeah, Jen gets it. She knows how to do social. In addition to rocking her job and the social media world, she somehow manages to be a great mom to her 2 sons, which we'll hear more about soon, I am very sure. They're upstairs. They have a cat too, and that just seems extra to me, Jen, extra. But I wanted to return for a moment to the idea of Jen Judson, land warfare correspondent. When people think of the media and how media are supposedly biased or out of touch or self-absorbed or the enemy of the people, they do not think about people like Jen, who think about and write about our military each and every day. She travels to bases and conferences around the world, writing about readiness and weapon systems and logistics and strategy. It is important work that we are all finding out. Tonight, a world away, 2 large armies are clashing in a ground war, the likes of which the world has not seen since World War II. Lives are being saved and unfortunately lost. Right from the tech and machines Jen studies and writes about. This is no longer deterrence or strategy. Okay, this is life and death. Listen, we know what we know about Ukraine because the press is there. Okay? They're there in the cold, the mud. They see the bodies and the wounded. They're working beside the soldiers and the civilians who are being attacked. They are giving everything they have, and what they write informs the world. The story of Ukraine's defense of its lands would not be known without the press. Jen and those like her who write about the military are in that tradition, not the enemies of the people. So far, we at the Press Club count 13 journalists who have been killed since Russia's war on Ukraine began. 13. I ask for a moment of silence for them and their families. Thank you. And thank you, Jen Judson, land warfare reporter. Thank you for your journalism, for your parenting, for your friendship, and for your steadfast service to this wonderful institution, the National Press Club, where you are making a difference as the 115th president. We are joined by a very special guest this evening who will administer the oath of office. We are grateful to have the Honorable Christine Warmuth, Secretary of the U.S. Army. How about that? There's a woman leading the Army. Okay? Yes. Secretary Warmuth was confirmed by the Senate and appointed as the 25th Secretary of the Army on May 28, 2021. She is the senior civilian official within the Department of Defense and is responsible for all matters relating to the U.S. Army. Prior to her confirmation, she was the director of the International Defense and Security at the RAND Corporation, where she was a frequent writer and speaker on foreign policy, national security, and homeland security issues. She served in several roles during the Obama administration, including Special Assistant to the President and Senior Director for Defense at the National Security Council. It is my honor to welcome Secretary Warmuth to the stage.
Good evening, everybody. Lisa, thank you so much for that great introduction, and congratulations on completing your successful year virtually leading the National Press Club. I am just delighted to be here to swear in Jen Judson as the 115th National Press Club president. Really couldn't be happier. As you all know, and as Lisa pointed out, Jen uncovers breaking headlines on the beats less traveled by other national security reporters. Whether it's land warfare, unmanned systems, Jen is there, notebook and recorder in hand, and she's really done a fantastic job covering the strategic shifts that we're making in the Army to transform to meet the kinds of threats that we're seeing play out in real time right now in Ukraine. And that has a lot of implications for how the U.S. Army is changing the way we man, train, and equip ourselves for the future. Jen was actually the first reporter to interview me after I became Secretary of the Army. And actually, even before I became Secretary of the Army, when I was announced as the nominee, Jen did a video interview that I will always remember. We had never met each other, actually, and as you might imagine, there was some, I would say, a little bit of trepidation about having the first woman serve as the Secretary of the Army, and particularly the fact that I had not actually served in the Army myself. So I remember clicking on the video of Jen doing this interview about sort of, who was this person? And I was really pleased at the incredibly fair and thoughtful treatment you gave me in terms of covering, my qualifications and what I might do as Secretary of the Army. And much more recently, Jen actually traveled with us. We went to visit Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where we have our Fire Center of Excellence. So a lot of the new systems that we're developing that, again, I think would be very useful in future wars. Jen was able to sort of come with us and see what we're doing there, and also Fort Leavenworth in Kansas, where we do a lot of our forward thinking about doctrine in the Army. Jen was able to really get a firsthand look at that and be with us and cover what we're doing to try to get ready to confront future threats, and also what we're doing to modernize our industrial base. Again, something that's very important as we all read about all of the javelins and stingers that we're sending to Ukraine, what we need to do to be able to manufacture more of those kinds of weapons, but also what we need to do to get our industrial base ready for the possibility of future conflicts. So I am obviously a little bit partial to national defense issues. I realize that Jen is apparently the first national security reporter to take over the presidency of the National Press Club. But I am incredibly happy to see you taking on this role and very much appreciate everything you've done to keep the Army and the many facets of the Army and everything we do in the public discussion. I know also that many of you were able to attend the most recent super spreader event that we've had in DC, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But I wanted to repeat a couple of things that President Biden said at that dinner that really resonated with me. He said that truth matters and journalists bear a heavy obligation. He said, you have to seek the truth as best you can, not to inflame or entertain, but to illuminate and educate. And I'm sure there are truths that are out there that some would prefer not to see or hear. But the work you all do as journalists enriches the national and global conversation. Your work ensures that we don't look away from everything we see. You help us engage, whether it's with the ugly, the tragic, or the uplifting truths of our time. And there are, I'm happy to say, still some uplifting moments that are out there. So thank you for bringing our attention to all of it. Freedom of the press is really central to upholding the foundations of our democracy. And I think, as we can clearly see in ways large and small these days, the foundation of our democracy is not ironclad. We cannot take it for granted. We have to focus and protect the strength of our democracy every day. This club's mission is to protect and advocate for journalists' ability to report in times of peace, but also in times of war. And this includes advocating for journalists who are wrongfully detained and for ensuring the safety of our reporters around the world. And I think the importance of this mission is evident as we mourn the death, again, as Lisa said, of 13 journalists who have been reporting on everything that's happening in Ukraine. The First Amendment guarantees your freedom to investigate, report, and commit your findings to paper. And it guarantees our right to read, share, and discuss what you are reporting on. And I think you only have to look as far as Moscow or Hong Kong to see what happens when those rights are taken away. So here in the place where news happens, please keep asking the tough questions, and please keep seeking the truth. Even though sometimes in government we're a little uncomfortable with reporters and questions, deep down we really appreciate and value everything that you're doing, and I think it's one of the things that separates the United States of America from a lot of other countries around the world. So, Jen, congratulations again. Congratulations to the National Press Club on a wonderful choice for your 115th president. And why don't you come up and we will get the helmet and swear you in. It's heavy. He's going to hold it. Fantastic. All right. Okay. Repeat after me. I, Jen Judson,
I, Jen Javelin Judson, it's sticking,
promise to serve faithfully as the president of the National Press Club
promise to serve faithfully as the president of the National Press Club
and to execute all of the duties of the presidency.
and to execute all of the duties of the presidency.
I promise to work vigorously
I promise to work vigorously
to strengthen the National Press Club
to strengthen the National Press Club
for the benefits of all of its members,
for the benefits of all of its members,
and I pledge to fight vigorously
and I pledge to fight vigorously
on behalf of freedom of information and freedom of the press,
on behalf of freedom of information and freedom of the press,
and for the protection of journalists everywhere.
and for the protection of journalists everywhere.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Lisa, I think we're doing dinner next. Is that? It's not time for my speech yet. I'll let Lisa take over. Thank you.
All righty. Can we have another round of applause for Secretary Warmuth and your National Press Club President, Jen Judson? We are going to take a break now so you can enjoy the fabulous dinner that Susan Delbert's team has put together. So, enjoy your dinner. Doe, a deer, a female deer. Okay, folks. Okay. Hello. Hello, National Press Club. Is your food good? Are you guys getting down on that bison? Yeah. Well, I want you to continue to enjoy your dinner. Continue to enjoy your dinner, but we're going to get the party started again so that we stay on time and so that everyone is able to get their groove on after this main event, because there's an after party. So, Jen Judson, or should I say Jen Javelin Judson. Everybody say it together. Jen Javelin Judson. That's right. She received a Bachelor of Arts degree in history from Kenyon College. She served in campus government, not surprising. She was a sister of the Zeta Alpha Pi sorority, and she played varsity lacrosse, get out her way, okay? And well, our friends in Gambier, Ohio, and alums across the world wanted to share their congratulations with Jen, so let's hear from them.
Congratulations, Jen. What an honor. I cannot believe that you are president of the National Press Club. That's insane. A huge honor. Just congratulations overall. I think we all should have seen this coming 20 years ago, considering just how active you were in the Kenyan community and your contributions to our newspaper and your enthusiasm for Kenyan and just your overall leadership, both formally in all the groups that you were part of and informally just in our friend group. So I am so proud of you. Please be sure to invite me to all the fancy events so that we can dress up together and celebrate Ackland style. So congratulations, so incredibly proud of you.
Congratulations, Jen. Good luck.
Congrats, 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 congrats.
Hi Jen, welcome to my kitchen. I just wanted to record a quick video to express my congratulations on this major accomplishment. I hope you're as proud of yourself as we all are of you.
Jen, you really knocked it out of the park this time, just like you did last time and the time before that. Congrats on being sworn in as the National Press Club president. Knowing you and that drive of yours, I know we'll be celebrating you time and time again. Your leadership, your dedication, and your success is something that I am so proud of. You've done so much since Kenyon, and we have so much to celebrate. Keep going, Jen. Love you.
Hello from sunny Scotland. Congratulations, Jen. I'm so happy for you. President of the National Press Club, that's incredible. You so deserve it. You've always had two incredible skills, I think. I mean, amongst many, but an amazing ability to write super well, super quickly. I remember trying to keep up with you, pulling an all-nighter once in Kenyon. You'd finished your paper and mine was unfinished at 4 a.m. and I was in tears. So yeah, you've always had that incredible ability to write well and quickly. And then, so we should have known you'd be a journalist. And then you've also always had an incredible ability to just get stuff done. You've been president of so many organizations, and if you want something done, Jen, you're the woman to do it. You always make it sound effortless, even though I know it's a lot of work. And you're always dressed beautifully when you do it. So it's an incredible skill. I know, especially with the last 2 years of the pandemic, I also have a pandemic baby. It's not been easy by any means, but my God, look what you've pulled off. So really huge congrats. I'm so proud of you, and I can't wait to hug you and kiss you in person.
Hello, Jen Judson and friends, and greetings from Kenyon College in Gambier, Ohio. I was thrilled to hear the news, the good news, and I'm sure as your former professor and advisor that you will bring all sorts of historical knowledge to this role. And I remember papers on cross-dressing in late antiquity and on cocoa consumption in Mesoamerica, and I am sure that they will somehow inform the work that you do as the 115th president of the National Press Club. Congratulations, and come visit us in Gambier soon.
Congratulations, Jen, on your appointment as president of the National Press Club. All of us here at Kenyon are incredibly proud of all that you've accomplished, and certainly proud of your advocacy for a free press and what it means for strengthening our democracy. Hope to see you back on campus soon.
Congratulations, Jen. Love KCWL. Congratulations, Jen. Love Zeta.
Wow. Cross-dressing, huh? Wow. Okay. The things you learn about new presidents. All righty. Thank you, Kenyon College, lords and ladies. And now, I'd like to introduce Editor-in-Chief of Sightline Media Group, Mike Groos. Unfortunately, Mike can't be here like in person this evening, so he has recorded his remarks. So, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Groos, Editor-in-Chief of Sightline Media Group, which includes Defense News and Military Times. I so wish I could be there tonight, but I have a cough and a positive PCR test that makes it better for me to be here. I was hoping you could do me a favor. Journalists are trained to be dispassionate, some might even say objective observers, so I won't ask you to close your eyes, but I would ask you to think about your first job in journalism. Think about what you were doing on a day-to-day basis. Maybe the people you were talking to, maybe the meetings you were covering, and how long the public comment session of those meetings lasted, and the service you were providing to readers. Think about how excited you were for your first byline, your first front page story, or your first Sunday front page story, or think about the first time you led the morning newsletter, or the first time your story deserved a push alert. Think about how badly you wanted to be a journalist. The word is hungry. If you're here, maybe even a better word is ravenous. Thanks to LinkedIn, I can tell you about the first job of the press club officers here tonight. They were at Examiner.com and Natural Gas Week, in Inside Pitch magazine, and the Bryan College Station Eagle. My first job was at the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette, where I covered school boards in Northeast Indiana. And I like to joke that my best story was about a very self-explanatory carnival booth called Photo with Monkey. But the truth is, my best story was about how the school boards there never, ever, ever voted against the superintendent. It was a story about accountability. Jen knew she wanted to be a journalist after college. She worked in D.C. at law firms and earned a certificate in paralegal studies before going to graduate school at Boston University. When she decided to go, it was an easy decision, and you'll hear more about it tonight. She interned at the Massachusetts State House and wrote stories for small papers in Wayland and Sudbury. Her first official job in journalism was part-time. 2 weeks later, she was full-time, and she spent roughly 18 months working for papers in Massachusetts. When she left in 2011, she was at the Norwood Transcript and Bulletin, a weekly. Like anything 10 years old on the web, much of her work from that time has been hard to find, but come on, we're all reporters here. You'll be glad to know that I Googled her final piece, which was a kind of Dear John letter to readers, in which she wrote she was trading the streets of Norwood for the halls of Pentagon, the halls of the Pentagon. She added, "I will be on the road praying my car doesn't break down on my move to DC." It's classic Jen, aware of what could go wrong, vocalizing so it won't happen, but no question about the destination. She then listed some of her favorite pieces from her time in Massachusetts. The first one was headlined, "Witness was intoxicated at Shamrock Pub Hearing." SEO be damned, I had to click. You won't be surprised when I paraphrase Bill Hader and say, this story has everything. It is a 900-word piece about a community board grappling with how to discipline a bar that served alcohol to a man already intoxicated, a man who had somewhere between 15 to 22 drinks, including the detail 6 Budweiser drafts, and speculation about whether the witness would figuratively throw his favorite bartender under the bus. It is, at its core, a story about power, accountability, operating in the public, and a governing body that is struggling to serve its constituents and to treat people with compassion. I first met Jen a few years after this story. She had worked at Inside the Army and had recently taken a job at Politico. We were in an event for defense contractors, and for those of you not in the defense press, here's what you need to know. The only thing defense contractors love more than new defense programs is a sunrise morning briefing to go over PowerPoints. Jen and I were working at competing publications, and I told her, trying to make small talk, this is too early. Jen replied matter-of-factly she had been up for hours. She had sent out a morning newsletter. When I'd started in journalism, the worst shifts were the night shifts, but at least you could sleep in. Jen had one of those underappreciated morning shifts. She was a pioneer. She told me she was going to file a story after the event and then take a nap and then go back to work and file again. All I could think about was more coffee. She was hungry. For the record, she filed her story before me. But I tell this because, in a very small way, I think it exemplifies Jen's commitment. As you know, Jen covers the Army for Defense News, which, in my own biased view, is the world's best respected business publication to cover the national security community. And nearly every member of our staff has a tale of some kind of Herculean task that Jen has completed at work. For example, each October, the Army's biggest trade show is held here in DC, and it is a frenetic production for Jen. A few years ago, she filed what felt like 7,500 stories over 3 days at the conference. It was 2 weeks before her wedding, a time when anyone else would be focused on, say, honeymoon or table settings, not Army helicopters or long-range precision fires. She landed interviews few others could get, and everyone thought that would be it. That would be the high water mark. The next year, at the same show, she was about 4 weeks out from her due date. This time, she wrote what felt like 8,000 stories. Even in video, I can hear some editors out there grumbling, so what will we have today? Then there was the air show in Paris. After 3 days of coverage, everyone was exhausted. Jen and our video team were heading back to the hotel. Jen was pacing the group. No question about the destination. The video team was too embarrassed to ask a simple question. Could you slow down? Jen was 5 months pregnant. And I think sometimes after a couple of years, we forget how badly people want to be journalists and how they will put their lives on hold or downright alter their lives for this career. I think sometimes because of the digital work from home environment where I am right now, and when we're not in newsrooms all the time, we forget the grittiness and persistence and tension that journalism requires. Not because it's not happening now in these times, but because it is harder to physically see with our own eyes. The phone calls that start, I just wanted to check that so-and-so got my message. The knocks on doors, the 2 minutes in the halls, the gaggles, the asking for paperwork, the emails that read in their entirety, off the record, no comment. The poring over budget documents, the sitting with victims, the meticulousness of getting every single detail right every single time. It is not glamour, it is work. And we do not expect to be in tuxedos and gowns in front of well-plated dinners. We expect to be shining light where there previously was none. We expect to hold power to account. We expect to explain and entertain and expose. We expect to understand the intricacies of witness was intoxicated at Shamrock Pub hearing. And we expect to digest the nuance of a story like the one Jen wrote yesterday. In New Directive, U.S. Army reins in Army Futures Command. We expect this because the reader is counting on us. In democracy, at least a well-functioning one, is counting on us as well. We need that hunger that Jen shows for journalism. I think what is so fortunate for the Press Club is that you've already seen the same level of commitment. The Press Club's mission is to be a vigorous advocate for press freedom worldwide, and I am confident Jen will do just that. This is an especially perilous time. Press freedoms are under attack. Look no further than the Los Angeles County Sheriff targeting a reporter in a leak investigation. Disinformation is rampant. Media manipulation, lawsuits, owners who cannot see or worse, do not care about how a lack of journalism in their community is dismantling democracy. We don't even have time tonight to talk about Twitter. At the same time, there's also a war in Ukraine. It has dominated discussion here in DC and worldwide, and it has created new storylines at defense publications like the one that Jen and I work at. The U.S. government budget for DoD and Veterans Affairs now tops $1 trillion each year. One goal of journalists everywhere is to provide accountability to taxpayers about how that money is being spent. Jen never forgets the bottom line. What does this cost? What is being done? And why? Journalists are willing to do more now than what is required. I see it every day in our newsroom, and I know so do all of you. That means making the extra call, sending the extra email, saying to a source, no, I need this on the record with attribution. But journalists must also have advocates who believe in the work they are doing and who support journalism not just through subscriptions or advertising, but through their actions. I would be remiss tonight by not urging DoD leaders to take seriously their responsibility and to allow U.S. reporters, especially those in the defense and trade press, to embed with troops in Europe, to have a greater understanding of what's happening as Russia invades Ukraine. Already, journalists worldwide are risking their lives to tell these stories. It is a critical moment in a critical story. Today's journalists are equipped to cover it in ways never imagined 10 or 15 years ago. I want to close with one item. There's a rule in our newsroom. The rule is we don't want anyone on our staff to get to the end of the year and be disappointed about their work. A cardinal sin is for anyone on staff to look back over the previous 12 months and not have stories they are proud of, to doubt that their work made a difference, or to feel like they are simply going through the motions. I am thrilled for Jen to take the lead at the Press Club, and I know 12-ish months from now, You will all undoubtedly be proud of the work Jen has done for your organization. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Mike. We really appreciate that. After receiving her bachelor's degree at Kenyon College, Jen went on to pursue a master's degree in journalism from Boston University. It was there she was enrolled in Professor Zuckoff's class. Mitch Zuckoff is the Redstone Professor of Narrative at Boston University. He covered 9/11 for the Boston Globe and wrote the lead news story on the day of the attacks. Zuckoff is also the author of 7 previous works of nonfiction, including the #1 New York Times bestseller 13 Hours, the inside account of what really happened in Benghazi, which became the basis of the Paramount Picture movie of the same name. As a member of the Boston Globe Spotlight team, he was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize in Investigative Reporting. Unfortunately, Mitch could not be here in person tonight, but he wanted to share his congrats with Jen in this video.
I'm Mitch Zuckoff, Redstone Professor of Narrative here at Boston University. On behalf of everyone here at the BU College of Communication, it's my honor and privilege to wish Jen Judson heartfelt congratulations on becoming president of the National Press Club. I had the great fortune to have Jen in my news writing, feature writing, and investigative reporting classes when she was a master's degree student. That puts me in a position to tell you a secret about journalism and a truth about Jen. What makes a journalist great isn't just reporting and writing skills, both of which Jen has in abundance. It's judgment. It's an almost impossible thing to teach. Great judgment is an alchemy of intelligence and perspective, built on a rock-solid foundation of fairness, accuracy, and empathy. Jen has it as a student, and from following her career, I know that her judgment has only grown more impressive over time. There are many ways to complete our program, which includes a capstone project that's supposed to have particular depth and breadth. Jen took on an extraordinary challenge, one of the most impressive since I've been here. She wrote about the last residents of what was known as the Fernald School, the Western Hemisphere's oldest publicly funded institution for people with developmental disabilities. She published the series she wrote in her first job after graduation, and it became a finalist for Project of the Year in the entire Gatehouse chain. That's just one early example of the quality of Jen's work as a journalist. What made Jen extra special, though, were her gifts as a leader among her peers. That's her character. That's who she is. That's who she's been since I met her. She's a leader who carries others as she climbs. A very long time ago, as a young reporter in Washington, I recovered from long work days by shooting pool at the National Press Club. Among my regular partners was Brian McRory, now editor-in-chief of the Boston Globe. When I told Brian I'd be making this video, he reminded me I still owe him $20 for a game of 8-ball, but that's not my point. My point is that the National Press Club occupies a big place in my heart and in the hearts of countless journalists who believe in a free press that serves as a watchdog on the most powerful people on the planet. It couldn't be in better hands than with its new president. In Jen Judson, you've picked a winner. Thank you.
I bet he left a lot more on the table than that. Fantastic. Now, let's turn to someone who's actually here in reality. Okay, actually, not virtual. Okay, someone who not only knows Jen the reporter, but Jen the friend. Jen and Megan first met in 2016. They seem to often run into each other at international trade shows. When Megan changed positions at BAE Systems and moved back stateside, the two became good friends outside of the defense realm. Please welcome to the stage Business Development Director at BAE Systems, Megan Mitchell.
Good evening. Good evening. I am really thrilled to be here tonight in honor of my incredible friend and colleague, Jen Judson. When thinking back on it, I actually can't remember exactly when we met. I'm sure it was about a story that I was pitching you really furiously that we've completely forgotten about at this point. While the beginning wasn't memorable, though, the more recent memories certainly have been. For example, there's no one else that I can sit with at a winery on a beautiful Saturday afternoon having a conversation that spans her toddler's latest exploits, the Army budget, and the fact that she used to ice skate to the soundtrack to Gettysburg. Go history majors. And all of that in the span of an hour. That recent example sums up our relationship perfectly, though. I'm honored to have both a professional relationship and a personal friendship with Jen. Because of the craziness of both our schedules, as you heard, most of the time we spent together at the beginning was on travel. A lot of it was at trade shows. In 2016 at Eurosatori, we first got to know each other. For a while, it seemed that we were only able to meet internationally: Paris, Abu Dhabi, Paris again. Eventually, we graduated to Warren, Michigan. Not quite the same. Finally, we made it to DC, which is when we started testing the wineries. You heard about some of the AUSAs thrown in there. For those that haven't had the pleasure of working one in her job, they require about a week's worth of work for each of the 3 days that the show is actually held. Jen covers every minute of it for Defense News, and I think we've worked together on each of them since we've met. You already heard about the AUSA right before her wedding and before the birth of her first son, Frankie. It was also at AUSA that she told me that Teddy was on the way. That kind of dedication takes a level of passion that few people have. Jen is one of those passionate journalists. Over the years, Jen and I have jointly worked both big events and routine stories. Her level of dedication to her job is second to none. She is sought after by both the military and its industrial base to cover all major events and ideas in her portfolio. Jen also brings a level of integrity that is less common than it should be in media these days, and a level of professionalism that all reporters should aspire to emulate. At the same time, Jen is a wonderful wife and mother to her 2 little boys. Her level of pride in her family is obvious. As said from the outset, our conversations often oscillate between hearing about the latest story of her toddlers and her last business trip when they were testing a new weapon system. As much as the two don't correlate, Jen is equally passionate about both. And although she may not have mastered the greatest of all goals, work-life balance, she makes it look effortless. As president of the National Press Club, Jen is bringing that personal and professional passion to an even wider stage. She has already told me how excited she's been about some of her interviews at the press club since taking office. It is especially important now as we're starting to bring people back in a way we haven't been able to do for the last 2 years, to have an enthusiastic representative over the organization. And I'm really excited to see all that she will accomplish during her tenure as we return to the new normal. Standing in this room, thinking of all the people who have been on this stage before us in the press club's over 100-year history, Jen has some big shoes to fill. But there is no one better equipped for the job. There is no more important time for the media to excel at what they do, and the press club could not have chosen a better representative to further that cause. Integrity, dedication, and passion are 3 qualities that I most look for in the media, and the qualities that I most admire in my friend Jen. Jen, today we're congratulating on you on taking on even more in your already busy life. But one thing I know is for sure, not a single ball will drop. And the dedication and drive that you show toward every part of your life will not waver as you bring that passion to the helm of the National Press Club. It could not be in better or more deserving hands. I am so proud of you, and I'm honored to call you my friend. Congratulations.
Awesome, awesome. Our next guest has known Jen for more than a decade. Colonel Kathy Turner was the first public affairs officer Jen met as a Cub defense reporter in 2011. Jen's first assignment was to cover General Raya Odierno's confirmation, which was, super intimidating for Jen. Jen described Kathy as welcoming and helpful during that first assignment. Kathy then went to the U.S. Army Europe and helped Jen arrange several of her trips and was indispensable in getting her great access. Kathy continues to help field and work Jen's many queries and understands how reporters work and what we need. Let's welcome to the stage the Director of Public Affairs for the U.S. Army Forces Command, Colonel Kathleen Turner.
Good evening, everyone. If anybody saw the pictures, I don't have all my camouflage on, so I don't know if you recognize me right now with some of the pictures that Jen posted up there. So it is an honor for me to be here tonight to recognize and pay tribute to Jen Judson. Jen, you have become a well-respected journalist by both your colleagues, many here tonight, senior defense officials, and public affairs practitioners. You are a role model for young, aspiring journalists, showing you can be a successful professional working full-time in a demanding career field while being a loving wife and mother, demonstrating a work-life balance. I am proud of everything you have accomplished, and I look forward to seeing what lies ahead. It's hard to believe we've known each other for more than 10 years. I know when you reached out to me to be part of this evening's events, we reminisced a bit about when we first met and how long we've worked together. We talked about how you were one of the young reporters who had time to interact and interview General Ray Odierno, the 38th Army Chief of Staff and my boss at the time. General Odierno believed in engaging all reporters, giving everyone a chance, not just the senior national level reporters. He recognized the importance of engaging with young reporters, especially in those niche and specialty outlets like you were working for, that focused on the technologies and systems the Army relies on to fight on the battlefield. Back then, Jen worked for Inside Defense as their Army Aviation and Missile Defense reporter. She was a young, enthusiastic, and engaging reporter who understood her beat, the finite technical details of the systems she reported on. During those years, there was a lot going on with Army Aviation. I think the official term we used was Aviation Restructure Initiative, or ARI. But many remember it as the sunsetting of the Kiowa Warrior. My husband, a retired Army aviator, says, "Thank you." That was his platform. So I got to know Jen fairly well over the years as she covered senior military leaders' testimony on the Hill, the AUSA annual meeting, which some of us just love every time of the year when it comes around, Pentagon press briefings, and those one-on-one interviews with the chief and other Army senior leaders. I could always count on seeing Jen out of the corner of my eye during testimony, waiting for the moment it would end so she could pop up and take a couple minutes of the chief's time. He gladly, accepted and gave her the quote she needed so she could file her story. Jen and I also spent some time in Europe together. She was covering European exercises, traveling to Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, France. She saw firsthand the important role U.S. Army Europe played and the support it provided to our allies and partners. Her stories highlighted the roles of relationships, the need for increased capabilities, and the importance of reassuring NATO allies of the U.S. commitment. More importantly, she wrote about what we lacked and needed in order to accomplish the mission. I seem to recall some excitement of a local hotel being kind of sketchy, Jen worried about her safety, and having to be rescued by the team and bring her on base, get in her room, making sure, I think it was like a mafia type of sketch, it was a weird hotel. It's not safe, maybe Romania, something like that. And there may have been some tweeting involved and being abandoned, etc. in Europe. But anyway, she was brought on base, she was safe, and as you saw from the photos, she was happy on a, base on a tank range in Chincu, Romania. So everything was good. Bottom line, you didn't report from your desk. You came to the story, no matter where it took you. Over the past few years, we continue to work with each other at the Pentagon on budget rollouts, acquisitions of new programs and technology. I could always count on Jen to dig into the budget and that damn J-list, that damn J-book. Find that one line or two on that program, then I knew she'd be calling one of my desk chiefs and putting in her queries for the day on to get those details again so she could file those numerous stories she had to do over the next couple of days. Throughout your career, you have been instrumental in telling the Army modernization story and informing the American public about how the Army invests in providing their force the most sophisticated and technological savvy equipment and material. You have always been a consummate professional in reporting the facts and holding the institution accountable. Thank you for all you have done, and I look forward to your term as the National Press Club president.
All righty then. So, I realize that I need my Pinot on the stage. Can someone bring me my Pinot? Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah. Gotta have the Pinot if you're gonna do what I'm about to do next. You know? Thank you. You're welcome. I'd like to point out that was Kimberly. She's the board of Governors chair. Yeah. So now it is my honor and privilege to offer a toast to you, Madam President. You have served this club in such a selfless way over the years. I mean, folks, you guys don't know, but I mean, Jen has been in nearly every freaking role you could possibly hold here at the National Press Club, okay? She has, yeah, give it to her. Let's give it to her. Seriously, she has volunteered hundreds of hours to this club. Many folks will never know the true sacrifices you've made for the sake of journalism. For those who do know, the few of us who really know, we appreciate you. We thank you. And thank you actually seems a little weak. But know that your commitment is appreciated. So, I say, let's all raise a glass. Raise a glass. Let me see you. Yeah. To Jen Javelin Judson. I was supposed to drink the champagne? Oh, whatever. Yeah, let's do the champagne too. Why not? Thank you, babe. Yeah. Okay. So, to Jen Javelin Judson, the 115th president of the National Press Club. Congratulations. And the floor is yours. Yeah.
Thank you. This is really crazy. I'm standing up here. I'll have to share some more stories about the Shamrock Pub that Mike raised later. So if you have any questions about the Shamrock Pub story, great one. I'm sure I'm not the first president to say that this is crazy to stand up here, but it's an honor and it's surreal. And I've been pinching myself since December when you all elected me to lead the club this year. And thank you so much to Lisa Matthews for guiding us through this night and injecting so much fun in this experience. Lisa did not get to experience her inaugural in person, and then she carried us through a very difficult year at the club without all the glitz and glamour of a presidency in the normal times. So Lisa, you led us smartly, carefully, and creatively. And here we are at the club a year and some change later because of your hard work and determination and your love of this club. So can we all pause and give her another a big heartfelt round of applause? Thank you also to my family who are here tonight, especially my husband, Jim Vastola, who has often sacrificed, yes. He's often sacrificed his own downtime and his own dreams for me as I pursue mine, and who takes wonderful care of our sons, Franklin and Theodore. I love you so much, and I hope that one day I can return the favor for you. And thank you to Frankie and Teddy, who are likely bouncing off the walls upstairs in my office, for simply existing, because they are truly my biggest accomplishment, and I will always be the most proud that I get to be their mom, and I love them so much. And to my dad, Frank, and my mom, Marty, thank you for supporting me, whether that was offering comfort or being hard on me, or never prescribing to cable and always making me look out the window on road trips. And thank you also very much for the bailouts when I was a really poor journalist just getting started. I would not be here today without you. And to my sister Rachel, thanks for being by my side since I was 2, traipsing through the woods, building forts, sharing early morning hours on the ice, helping me smuggle my hamster from Switzerland to the United States. That's true, I did do that. And for driving 24 hours straight to be here the night before Teddy was born in the pandemic, and helping us get through those first weeks. And I'm proud to call you my sister, and anyone having a baby in Denver is the luckiest to have you as their postpartum nurse. And thank you so much, the Army Secretary, Christine Warmuth, and her husband, Drew, and her staff for being here tonight. It has been so much fun to hear you speak, and I'm hoping that it was more fun than your Senate hearing and having to answer questions about the new Army fitness test. Honestly, I can't do a single push-up to save my life, so it all sounds hard to me. But it means a great deal to have you here, and I'm honored deeply, deeply to have you here. And Megan, Kathy, and Mike and Mitch virtually, thank you also for your kind words. They motivate me to keep working hard as a reporter. And just an FYI, it is Military Appreciation Month, so please give everyone a round of applause in the audience who are active military or veterans. Thank you so much for your service. Also, special thanks to Bill McCarran and our executive director, Kate Helster, our membership director. And also the rest of our amazing staff for working so hard on this event tonight, while also helping to put on a million other incredible events at the club. I don't know how you do it all, but please know how appreciated you are for your hard work and your dedication. Each year we have a new president of the club, and it's one of the things that keeps us a fresh and vibrant organization. And it seems that each president brings with them something of themselves that is unique and welcoming to members. My immediate predecessors represent varieties of genders, races, ethnicities, and I suppose what is unique about me is that I am our first president of my generation. I am our first millennial. Well, that's largely an unspoken attribute. I think for some people, they see it and it has meaning. One way it may resonate for people is in my online life. I'm pretty comfortable on social media, and I have a pretty strong following among military and journalism community, but also among younger people. I get the humor and the voice of social, which is just natural for somebody my age, but it is maybe new for a president of the National Press Club. So for all of those people who are trying to meet the press club online, here I am. Join me, follow me. My feed is full of defense reporting and mom stuff. But as I'm also on the millennial cusp, I didn't have a cell phone until my senior year of college, which I couldn't use anyway because there's no reception in rural Ohio. And I spent a blissful 4 years in college without Facebook. And I made mixtapes by recording off the radio, and I owned a pager in high school, and I do know how to dial a rotary phone. So tonight you've heard about how I'm a defense reporter in Washington, and I went to journalism school, and I spent some time reporting at the very local level. But what many of you don't know is that before, I was a little lost millennial sitting in an office directly across the street in the Willard building, working for a law firm and thinking I wanted to be a lawyer. And as I sank into the misery of the desk job and sort of lamented over the office policy requiring women to wear pantyhose in 98-degree weather, and as I took in the lives of these young associates working these long hours with what seemed like no time to enjoy their hard-earned money, I realized I wanted to be out there, talking to people, learning something new every day, writing, discovering the truth about things. And I wanted that front row seat to history. And I guess I didn't care about the money. So every day I took a walk at lunch, and I'd walk past the National Press Club, and those big black letters on the side of the building were flashing in my peripheral vision as I kind of stared at my BlackBerry on my way to the Starbucks or the food court that's not here anymore. And so 1 week after I moved from my hometown of Denver to Washington, D.C. without a job, a family friend who was a member of the club invited me to a headliner event with the Attorney General Alberto Gonzales, then Attorney General Alberto Gonzales, knowing I wanted to be a lawyer. But the morning of the event, I couldn't make it to the metro without getting totally soaked in a rainstorm. It was a kind of like umbrella turns upside down, inside out storm. And I tried twice. I drenched my only 2 suits, and with soaking wet hair, I called the family friend and I canceled. Never made it to the press club that day. But that friend invited me to another event at the club later on where Ashley Judd was speaking. And during the reception, I met Helen Thomas. And that seems like fake to me. I took pictures with both Ashley and Helen, but the photo I really treasure is the one with Helen because she took a minute or two to ask me about myself, and I told her, and she said, "Why do you want to be a lawyer?" And I swear she kind of like winked at me. I can't really remember my answer, but it wasn't a good one. And so fast forward, I quit my job and I went to journalism school in Boston. Comparing myself to my fellow students at Kenyon College, an institution known for its writers, I knew I'd not be writing the next great American novel. I'm the daughter of a doctor and a pharmacist, and I'm also the sister of a nurse, and I'm the only family member who cried her way through biology and chemistry in high school. Rachel's gonna say that's not true. Norman Mailer said, if a person is not talented enough to be a novelist, not smart enough to be a lawyer, and his hands are too shaky to perform operations, he becomes a journalist. But I feel beyond lucky to be given the privilege of being a journalist in this country and in Washington. This is my true calling. I feel honored to be among those asking our leaders the tough questions, combing through thousands of pages of budget documents each year, writing about policy as it's formed, and traveling with troops to see how our military is thinking about fighting in the next wars and keeping our country and our allies safe. For a time when I was familyless, I wanted to be a war correspondent, but life marched on. I met my wonderful husband and had my babies, and now I'm pretty sure that won't happen. There's a note from Ernie Pyle hanging on our wall across the way in the Fourth Estate restaurant space to an aspiring war correspondent, and it says, "Hello, David. Good luck, but I hope you never realize your ambition to become a war correspondent, for I hope there isn't another war in your time. Best of all, Ernie Pyle, France, August 1944. As you know, Ernie was killed less than a year later by a Japanese sniper on April 18th, 1945 on Ieshima. When I began my reporting career in Washington, we were exiting Iraq, and opportunities to report in Afghanistan were few and far between. I took a job at Inside Washington Publishers where I learned, instead of running off to cover a conflict, how to cover policy, how to comb through and interpret the defense budget, how industry interfaces with Congress and the Pentagon. You know, I want to take a moment to thank and honor places like Inside for really being the breeding ground for some of the best trade and Washington-based reporters that are out there, continuing to do great journalism. It feels like 60-70% of reporters I know got their start there. Trade reporters are the salt of the earth of the journalism world, and I'm glad to be a part of that community, and for Inside for giving me that start. And even bigger thanks goes to Defense News, where I've been for almost 7 years. I'm fortunate to have been at a place for so long where I'm supported, where my editors believe in me, and where they push me to be better, where they say yes to my crazy travels and try not to freak out when I end up in situations. They've given me the tools to bring my coverage to life, not just through print, but visually. I've been given the space to learn how to report on camera, to be a photojournalist, to write, to moderate conversations. And everyone I've worked with over the years there are so talented. I'm truly full of admiration, and you all inspire me every single day, and I'm so lucky to have all of you in my court and to collaborate with you. And special thanks to my editors, Mike Groos and Marjorie Sensor. Mike has been my editor for several years now, and Marjorie has been my editor twice. But they have pushed me just in the last year to write some pieces I'm really proud of, enterprise pieces I've never felt I had the time or support to do before, and I've managed to do them amid all of the other stuff I've got going on, so thank you for that. And I also feel lucky to be in a news organization that works hard to be fair, to be accurate, to cover all the bases, and has a reputation for just that at a time when public trust in the media is at an all-time low. We spent 4 years with the leader of the free world calling us the enemy of the people. Reporters and journalists are now tangled up and lumped into fake news and have to fight every day against disinformation campaigns. Fake news stories look convincingly like real ones, and lies have been printed like truths. So it's no wonder we have our work cut out for us to regain public trust. But we have to do it. We have to find a way to build trust with the public again. It is the key to democracy. The way to build that trust back is to do quality and careful journalism, to be truthful and with no other agenda than to shine a light where there are blatant attempts to keep truth in the darkness. Some believe it may not be possible to regain public trust to the levels news organizations were once held. But as president, I aim to and have already begun to work on this problem by bringing conversations about disinformation, media ethics, and news literacy to the forefront. That is one way we're advocating for journalists this year. But we're also working hard to protect journalists worldwide. And there have been many wars and conflicts since World War II. And I'm sorry to say that Ernie Pyle has not gotten his wish and will not get it now, as we're now watching a country, Russia, a major nuclear power, wage a horrific war in a country, Ukraine, that is and wants to continue to be free. Russia is using disinformation to justify it, suppressing truthful reporting, spreading lies on social media, and murdering journalists, not to mention countless innocent civilians and children. The war in Ukraine has shown us many things, but it most certainly has trained a bright light on the dangers journalists face. We have seen now 13, and counting, journalists killed since the start of Russia's invasion. We've seen Ukrainian journalists drop the pen and pick up the gun to defend their country. The Russian military has shown us that rules of engagement are off the table. Press, medics, aid workers, children are all targets, desirable targets. At the club, we continue to raise our voice against these unjust killings in Ukraine and elsewhere. We did so just yesterday. In the first 4 months of the year, we have also seen at least 9 journalists killed in Mexico, not for going into harm's way to cover violence or war, but for simply doing their jobs as journalists. That's a staggering number. We have publicly highlighted these murders, demanding swift investigation and justice. I'm not the first president to talk about Austin Tice in an inaugural address. Each of the past 3, at least, have called for his release in their speeches. But now the award-winning journalist and former Marine has spent almost 10 years imprisoned in Syria. That's 10 years. Like me, Austin is 40. Like me, he used his extensive knowledge of military affairs to form a basis for his reporting. He could be one of my colleagues, and I'm now in a place where I can help, and I'm doing what I can. My first act as president in January was to call for the Biden administration to take action to free him. Biden had not said his name or acknowledged him publicly at the time. After he was highlighted at the White House Correspondents Association dinner this past weekend in front of President Biden, which happened in part due to strong and repeated urging from the National Press Club, Biden met with Deborah and Mark Tice, Austin's parents, on Monday. Deborah has been pushing hard for this meeting from the beginning of Biden's presidency, and it's finally happened. The door is opening, and I'm hoping with all my heart that Austin walks through it and comes home to his family this year and can finally sit among us here at the club. "10 years of his life are gone, but he has so much left to do and give." This year has been a challenging one. We've all spent our fair share of doom scrolling well past midnight. And that pandemic we all thought would be over in a few months is now in its third year. The seating chart tonight was full yesterday. Empty seats here tonight show it's far from over. It feels crazy to say I'm your third pandemic president. I began my presidency in a club so quiet you could hear a pin drop as the Omicron variant raged after the holidays. But like Dr. Fauci told me a week ago in a virtual headliner event, while we'll never see COVID-19 eradicated, we will get to a point where it is controlled. This means the club will have to be creative with its business while keeping our members and patrons safe. And we have to be prepared and flexible because we don't know where in this journey the pandemic will take us next. During the pandemic, the very existence of the National Press Club was threatened. Our members had to endure long stretches of digital-only activity. Our business, which has become the center of our financial power, came to a halt. The club had to rely on loans and government grants to survive. There were cuts, there were layoffs, but through determined effort and careful planning and inventive strategies, we made it through. We are now, just this spring, for the first time, seeing business activities return. And we have held enough of the staff together to support it. And our members have been fantastic and sticking with us the whole way through. The club is on the way to being whole in membership and whole in the business. I must thank the other presidents who served through the pandemic. Mike Friedman, I think you're over there, 2020, and Lisa Matthews in 2021. We owe a great debt to their strong leadership. Please give them a round of applause now. The club will be eternally grateful to you. Above all else, during the pandemic, the club remained safe and we took safety first approach. We checked temperatures and vaccination status and used masks and social distancing when necessary. We used air purification technology in our air handlers and elevators. We stayed open from June 2020 straight through. We had the occasional positive case among staff or guests who became sick outside the club, but we believe the club itself was and remains one of the safest venues in Washington. This is a remarkable track record. We've lost no staff or members or guests to hospitalizations or deaths from exposure while at the club. Yet we remain open and in service to our members and our mission. As your president, I will work hard to ensure our club comes back to life. We're already seeing this happen. And we've had a full headliner luncheon in the ballroom in April, and I've seen several packed taco nights, and we're right here in person right now. Yeah. So good to see everyone. I know you're all eager to see us open like we were in the before times. We're getting there, and we will get there. As your first millennial president, I think about generations that will come after me, after us, and I think about journalists just entering the profession. What do they want from a club here in Washington, and what they will want going forward in an age where perhaps newsrooms are more fluid, perhaps they exist wherever the reporter is, much like it does now in the pandemic. Perhaps that means a well-equipped workspace to do all means of digital journalism and staff that can help members build those skills. Perhaps that means working hard to build a membership that inclusively represents the evolving landscapes of journalists and advocates for them effectively around the world. I don't have all the answers, but I'm actively seeking them. No matter how journalism is changing in the digital world, one thing will always stay the same, and that is our role to tell the truth, to shine a light where there's darkness, and to give voice to the voiceless. If we remember these principles, we can help rebuild our broken democracy. No matter what generation you are, the club will remain a place for you to remember your calling, and will be a place to call home in times of war, peace, or pandemic. Thank you.
All righty. So we are so proud of you, Jen. So delighted. And it's just special to have you lead the club. So thank you again. If we could just do one more round of applause for Jen Judson. All righty. I want to take this opportunity to, one more opportunity to thank our sponsors this evening. Bloomberg, Defense News, L3 Harris, and General Dynamics, Bellflight, Defense One, Duplain, Global Enterprises, hey Jan, yeah baby, Women's Business Collaborative, GM Defense, and Lockheed Martin. So that completes our program, but the party is just getting started. I just want to add this. I know that Jen mentioned Austin Tice. I would really, and I think everyone here at the National Press Club, and I know Deborah Tice and Mark Tice, would really appreciate it if everyone here would sign the petition on change.org. It is Free Austin Tice. And if you haven't had an opportunity, if you're on Twitter, if you can do the hashtag Free Austin Tice, it would really mean a lot. We have been pushing for Austin Tice's return for so many years now, and it's just ridiculous that we don't have him back yet. So whatever you can do, if you can remember Austin Tice, if you can hashtag Free Austin Tice, if you can sign the petition at change.org, it would be greatly appreciated. So as I said, that completes our program tonight, but the party is just getting started, so I hope you'll join me and Jen Javelin Judson for a continued celebration in the Holman Lounge. And as a nod to our first millennial president, we'll be treated to some of your favorite 90s and 2000 jams from the band Uncle Jesse. Yeah, so let's get the party started. Thank you for coming out tonight. It's been a great evening. Place where news happens. Thank you.